We're doing another live training today. We're going to talk about Framer, how to use Framer. In the recent weeks, made $40,000 from a Framer page that I built, and I want to share with you guys how to get started with Framer. This is going to be kind of a casual, chill training session because I'm going to show you the ins and outs of Framer without overwhelming you. I'm not going to show you 3D animations and CSS and all these fancy tricks that you can go onto Framers University and watch all that stuff and watch all the crazy side-scrolling 3D transform stuff. We're just going to talk about how to create a very high effective, high converting landing page that is simple, that when your customers, when your leads land on it, that they know what to do. They know there's only one thing to do, and that is to sign up and get your lead magnet. So it's either an email form or it's a checkout form. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Framer. And also today, this is going to be kind of a 2-for-1 for me because I'm going to build the landing page. This video that you're watching is going to be the lead magnet for the page that I'm going to build. So I'm going to use this Framer training as our lead magnet. So we're going to make this video. We're going to be a little meta and also get a little work done while I'm teaching you as well. So guys, if you have any questions about Framer, drop it in the chat. We'll get it addressed. I'm going to try to be as not overwhelming as possible because there are some things that can get overwhelming, or if you were just not a designer, or if you're just like if you've ever used Figma, this might be a little interesting. Let's get into it. Let's go over to our Framer. Now you can get Framer for free, and you can just build a website all you want, and you only have to pay once you turn into a custom domain. But let's go to this is kind of what we are mimicking. This is a couple landing pages I've built. These are some trainings that I offer here at Nice Light Studio. It's very simple. I call this a 2-column setup where it is I got some new tools, so I see if this tool works. Okay, the pin tool works. So this is what I call a 2-column setup. So it's 1 column and 2 columns. So you have the kind of hero image, what we call over here, and then you have your simple form. Very simple, very easy for people to do. And when a great lead magnet, at least depending on where they are in your funnel and how much information you're about to deliver them, the highest converting landing page, the highest converting lead form is email only. Adding a name, adding a phone number, adding an email, and then a question about the revenue, or add your business URL, or upload a picture. All of that is going to get in the way of converting your people from casual viewers, people on YouTube watching right now, into leads. People that are interested, that want your training, that want to learn more about you, and adding their email is a quick, easy thing for you to do. We're not going to talk about what we're going to do on the back end or all the kind of email funnel settings. That's another training we can do, but today we're just going to focus on building a page just like this. We're going to keep it in my style here on the Nice Light Studio page. Here's another example. This is like a hiring guide if you're ever looking to hire a video editor. And we're going to focus on this section right here. So this section up here is called the hero section, and it is where 80% of your traffic is going to go, and it's where 80% of the action is going to be, and it's where 80% of your attention needs to be. I've got some extra stuff down here. We're not going to focus on that. This is, some feature area. This is some, what's inside, and then I've got down here below, I've got another kind of reminder. I call it like a footer lead magnet. It's the same form as up here, but just, they are scrolling down, they read about it, they go, okay, cool, I want this, and then instead of having to scroll back up to the top, they have the form right here. We can include this as well, but if we're just going to today build the hero section, then I wouldn't add the footer section. Well, let's look at some other examples. So what I've kind of done, and what's nice about Framer, is you kind of build one version of something, and then you can just duplicate it. You can just take this and say, okay, hey, Framer, this hiring guide page looks good. I take it, I right-click, I duplicate it, and it's good to go. And I just kind of swap out some images, I swap out the copy, swap out the form to make sure it's the right form. And I think that's kind of how you should operate with your website. You should make kind of one single template and duplicate it, because you're going from page to page, or if your user goes to one lead magnet and then the next week they go to another lead magnet page and it's just a totally different experience, that can be kind of jarring. And not cohesive to your brand, and it should just all feel like this is one company with one mind, one strategy, not this, hey, let's experiment, let's do all these crazy designs. And I will say, with a landing page, now not with a sales page, but with a landing page, the simpler the design, the more you're going to convert. That's the main goal with this. How can we get people to land on the page, add their email, and that's it? Not get distracted, not have a huge load time, or have all these videos or animations playing in the background. How can we make it as simple as possible for them to just look, understand what it is, and just go to work? And then the last one I'll show you, this is a different one. This is the all access training, so you can go to, this is actually linked down below if you want to take a look at it. But it's just simple. It is a hero image, some text, a button in this case. This one goes to the WAP checkout page, and just a little, hey, deliver to your inbox. This makes it very simple. And again, I've got kind of a feature area. This one actually could use some improvement. I think this is kind of lacking, but this one right now is bringing in about 2 to 3 leads a day, so I'm not that worried about it. Sometimes I can get, for me personally, and with Framer and wanting to have as much control in the design process, I'll get in my head and be like, I got to make this perfect. I got to have the design looking top notch. And sometimes things get a little busy, and you're just like, hey, you know what? This is good enough. People can understand it. People know what this is about. And it doesn't have to be award-winning designs in order for it to be high converting. So let's build a page. Let's go and I'm not going to duplicate. I'm just going to start from scratch. So we're going to build. Actually, how do you build a new page? There you go. File. I've never done a new page like this. So we got a new page. So let's drag it up into our training folder, and we're going to call this one training/framer. Why don't we do that? So this is our blank canvas, and this is what you usually start with. There are plenty of Framer templates out there and some Framer UI kits out there. You just Google free Framer templates, free Framer UI kits, and you're going to find tons of stuff. The problem I have with templates and borrowing other people's stuff is you're kind of bringing their baggage along. Or if you have your own process of creating something that you get this cool looking NFT dark mode, purple glowy template from somebody, and then when you want to go change something, their kind of whole template falls apart, or you have to kind of rebuild their template in order to make it look how you want it to look. And you're like, I should have just done this from scratch from the beginning, rather than now I'm having to take this, you're buying somebody else's car, rebuild, and you're like, I should have just bought the new car in the first place, or I should have just built it myself from scratch. So let's talk about some Framer stuff, and I'm going to make sure another tool we have, the zoom. So I want to see if the zoom works today. What's complicated about Framer is the text side, and once you figure that out, 80% of everything else is pretty straightforward. The images, the videos, the blocks, adding grids and stuff like that, that is pretty straightforward. But in my head today, I want to show you guys 2 different types of landing pages we're going to build. We're going to build the 2-column one, where we have some kind of hero image on the left or right, and then we have our form where people are just going to fill out their information, and that's it. And there might be some headline, little copy right here, and a little subhead right there, but that is it. And then I'm going to show you guys how to do a single column landing page, where it could be, oh, give me my pen back. There we go. So it could be the form is right here, right in the center, and then you've got your headline text up here, maybe a little bottom text. And this is great for, what's nice about this single column version is that it's great for mobile. You don't have to do a conversion from, in the 2-column one, if you want to go to mobile, you have to go to 2-column and then to 1-column. Whereas for this one it's already 1 column, so once you go into mobile version, you're just kind of squeezing everything down. You're not taking it as wide as you were. So that's it. So let's first start with let's walk around Framer a little bit. I'll show you everything around here. So you got your menus at the top. You can do all these settings here. You could do, file, new page, edit view. You don't really have to go into all this stuff right here. This is, site settings is one I frequently go to, but all this stuff for me, I don't even know where the new page was, because that's how little I use this menu bar at the top. You hit insert, and insert will take you to a menu of all these different types of options. And there's tons of great options. You can just start with a page itself and say, I want to just add this page, landing page, or portfolio, or they've got like a little teaser here. This could be a good one. Like, see, this is their version of a landing page, and that's kind of what we're going to build from scratch. But again, this one, there's some baggage here with the Framer one that just, it kind of chunks you up a little bit, and the more you kind of start to build it and make it your own, the more it starts to fall apart. So we're not going to do that. You also have sections, so if you just want to add some quick sections here, let me zoom back in. Right there, I keep hitting the, okay. So you've got, you can do a blog, and sections you can do like little feature blogs, you can do grids, you can do a bento box, you can do little testimonial cards, you got reviews, a contact form, pricing cards, sign up today, logo bars. There's tons of great stuff like off the bat you can just automatically go into. The navigation. On a landing page, we are not going to add a nav bar. I know in a lot of websites you want to have your nav bar, you want to have home, about me, contact us, log in. You want to have all that at the top. But for a landing page, you want to give as little information as possible, and you don't want your user to go anywhere else. You don't want them to accidentally hit your home button or, let me go read your about page. You want them on that page directly just staring at that email form and saying, add your email or leave. That's the only two options. It's you add your email or leave. So with the navigation, I do use the navigations from Framer. I think they're great. Because navigation bars get a little tricky, especially when you go from full screen to mobile, where you got to do the little hamburger menu. But these are great. Use one of these. We use it on our Nice Life Studio website, and super happy with it. Then you got menus. That's even adding like menus inside of the nav bar. I haven't even got really into this, and you don't really need to. CMS is for your blog content, or if you have, say you have like an employee page and you want to add like pictures of your employees. This is mostly for the blogs. So we don't need to make a blog today because that's not part of a landing page. Then you've got some creative elements here. Creative elements are pretty nice. You got fit text, you've got some arc, you got some scribble, graphic effects, a countdown timer, date and time. Then you've got some wave and grid patterns. I've used these before. They're pretty fun. And add a little texture, I call it, to your website. Then you've got media. So media over here, and I'll kind of wiggle my mouse. Media over here, you've got at the very top, just a regular old image, which you really don't need to do, and I'll show you how to just make a box and just fill it up with your image. You don't have to actually go to this image part here. You got GIFs. You've got a video that you can upload yourself, but you have to have a higher Framer plan. I usually just upload to YouTube and just do a YouTube link and then make that onto my Framer page. Vimeo, if you've got that. You've got Lodi files. You've got, if you do Spotify or podcast or SoundCloud, or you can upload an MP3. All that stuff you can add, so it's very open. It's very fun. Then they just came out with their Framer forms recently. And let me scoot over. There we go. They came out with their Framer forms recently. This form is pretty badass. It's got some limitations in the sense of like you can only take in 2,500 a month. So if you're running like a ton of ads and you need to get more than 2,500 leads in a month, then the Framer form might not be for you. But it's super fast because it's all kind of native baked in. So someone fills out their information, they fill out their email, and then it automatically sends them to a thank you page, and it's kind of lightning fast. Whereas if we use things like HubSpot or even ConvertKit, which I'll show you today, it can kind of get a little slow. It can kind of get a little, there's a lag, or like the page loads itself, but then the form itself takes a beat or two to load, and that can kill your conversions. With the Framer form, it's super fast. With it, you can connect your Google Sheets, you can do a webhook URL, and then I think you can also do something else, or just like send it straight to your email. So if you're like doing a client service, like you just want them to email you directly, it'll just go straight to your inbox. But if you're doing a lead capture like this, going straight to your email might be kind of crazy. Then you got Loops, which is another service, ConvertKit, MailChimp, all the email providers. You've got Calendly, you've got HubSpot, Typeform. Yeah, so these are all the forms. And then you got icons, some great icons in here. One I recommend the most that I like is Phosphor. That one's pretty good, but all these are pretty great, pretty solid. Then you've got interactive. Interactive is, you got locale, you've got search. So if you have a blog, for example, you can add a search bar, cookie banner, you've got a ticker, a slideshow, carousel. So if you go to niceslicestudio.com, you can see a ticker. We've got like all of our videos tickering across, and they just kind of just go across the screen, and you don't have to swipe or anything. It just adds a little motion, adds a little life to it. Social stuff, Instagram, Twitter, Trustpilot, Google Maps, Facebook, all that stuff you can embed. And then utility stuff. So you might be in here as well. We're going to be in here for, we might be in here for embed, or for the forms, we might just go do a ConvertKit form that I've already made. But you've got checkout forms, you've got Gumroad, Lemon Squeezy, code blocks, embed. This is kind of nice. You have copy clipboard. So if you have a coupon, if you're doing some kind of coupon, like, hey, on the thank you page, they can click copy clipboard, and they can copy a coupon code and then click a link and then go to your checkout and paste that coupon code. That's kind of fun. Downloads is you upload the file into Framer, and when your customer hits that download button, they will download the file, which is kind of nice. So if you are doing a lead magnet in this sense, you could have this download button on your thank you page, and so when people fill out the form, they go to the thank you page, and the download button's right there in the face, and they get instant gratification, and just like, that's a win for them. Then you got Product Hunt, you've got Open Table, Sticky Notes, just kind of fun stuff, Logo, and Contra. So that is the menu setup. Then you go over here to Layouts, and they got Frame, Rows, Columns, Grids. We're going to go over this a little bit. I'm not going to get too in the weeds about this stuff because it can get very complicated, but we're going to keep it as simple as possible. So don't stress out too much about this. Text, you don't even have to add text because you just hit the letter T key and then CMS and plugins, they just came out with their new plugins, so they've got a ton of new plugins, and it's in progress, so it's pretty good. All right, now we are at, let's zoom out a little bit. This is our desktop. We start with our desktop mode. When you're building your Framer page, you want to build your desktop version 100%. Before you even hit this button up here that says breakpoints, and you click breakpoints and say, okay, now let's make a tablet version. So now if you zoom out, we've got the tablet version over here. We got the desktop right here. We've got the tablet version right here. And then you go and do another breakpoint and make your phone version. And you would have 1, 2, 3 versions. The problem with this, or the problem with building all three at the same time, is the dominant one, or like the kind of master file, is the desktop. So anything that you change on the desktop is going to affect and kind of cascade down. It's going to affect the tablet, it's going to affect the phone. But if you are in tablet mode, or if you are in phone mode and editing over here, and editing something specific, or changing an effect, or changing a headline, that is not going to translate over to tablet. It's not going to translate over to desktop. So what I would do is build out your desktop 100% all the way through, get it looking nice, get it how you want, get the copy, the design, the lettering, the whatever, all that ready to go. And once you're happy with that, then clone it over to tablet, then clone it over to phone mode, and all you have to do at that point is just kind of make sure everything is squeezed in, make sure everything is fitting within those windows. You don't need to do a redesign, you don't have to rebuild everything from scratch. So let's start with now let's get into some basics on desktop. So we've got our kind of blank canvas here, and I'll zoom in a little bit. It's 1200 pixels wide, and it is, right now it's just a blank canvas. There's nothing that we can do. There's nothing we've done yet. So we're going to go over here and hit layout. And once we hit layout, it's going to kind of make this into a strict grid. So if I hit the letter T key and I just start typing, so like headline, then I've got, size it up. I can just drag it and make it bigger if I wanted to, like that. Or I can go over here down to size, and I can just hit, 200. Or say, hey, I want exactly 200, and it'll go to 200. Also, what I want to do is have layers open on the left side. So up at the top, you've got pages, you've got layers, you've got assets. I usually keep, when I'm working on something, I keep it in the layers so I can see what I'm working on. So right now, we've just got text ready to go, and it is pushing at the top. So we need to try to figure out how we can format this, how we can kind of work with this so that once we want it to be responsive. So I'm going to hit the F key, and I'm going to, if you hit F key, what you're going to do is create a frame. So you create a frame. So now if you look over here, when I hit the F key and I dragged everything over, I put the text inside the frame. So now it's in the frame. So now it's kind of following the rules of this frame. So if I were to change some of the rules over here, and see we don't have layout turned on. So we want to turn out layout, and I'll just do that again for you. If I hit layout, right now the text is just kind of, this is stuck because it's following, this blue frame right here is following the rules of this master frame here. But if I took and grabbed the headline itself, I can kind of just move it around. It's not really following any rules. There's no grid, so it would just, it's not going to look great. So we need to kind of turn on the rules. We need to turn on layout. So if I hit layout, now it's following the rules of, if I look over here, so now it's saying it's in a stack, or it's saying it's in a up and down vertical direction. It is in center distribution and center alignment, and it's not going to wrap. And that is what we see right here. So it's kind of perfectly, so if you were to move this and drag it around, it's always going to stay in the center. Well, what I did just now is I dragged it off the canvas, so that took it out of the equation entirely. But if I want to put it back in the equation, now it's going to follow the rules. So if I were to duplicate another headline or another headline, then it was all still going to follow that distribution of everything's in the center, everything is center vertically and center horizontally. Now, when I start to add too many headlines or too much content in here, you see that I keep adding stuff, but it kind of keeps getting chopped off. So how do we make stuff so that if I add more content, or if I add more of a bigger image or a bigger headline, that everything kind of follows along, everything kind of fits to the content. So they have something called, what you want to do is click the frame itself, this blue frame, and then you want to go over to the right, and there are two things. This is where you kind of live all the time for me. Like if you are, these two things, and I'll move my main camera. Does that help right there? There we go. So there is fixed, there's relative, there's fill, and there's fit content. The three things that I stick with are fixed, fill, and fit content. So I'm going to hit fit content, or sorry, let's do fill on the width, and I'm going to do fit content. That is probably your typical default go-to, is fill is 1FR, and then height, the height of the box is fit. So I'll go and I'll hit undo and show you what that did. So if I have, let's say if I have 4 headlines, 5 headlines in here, that's way too much. All of that is, some of it's getting bled over, some of it's, there's one headline down here that you can't see. So I've got to go back to the blue stack, back to this kind of frame here, and I want to hit height and go down to fit content. So that's going to fit the content. But now we've got a problem because our outer shell is not following the rules. So we got to go to our top outer shell and make sure the height on that one is also fit content. So now if we add more content, that our page is going to just keep growing with the content. And if we delete some content, then it's going to follow along, if you will. So if that makes sense. I think that's making sense. I'll kind of draw like a kind of a metaphor for it. So you've got your box here, and this is whatever, this could be your image, and you usually put your image inside a frame, and everything in this frame sets the rules. And then there's going to be this big outer frame, and that's why they call it framer, because this outer frame sets the rules for everything inside this frame. So this little guy right here is following this rule, and this medium-sized guy is following the rules of the big box. So anything that you do with the big box, it's going to affect just this medium-sized box, but everything inside the box is not going to be affected by all the rules that you set for the outer box. So if I were to say, this is now, the height is fixed, but the outer box is, I could set to fit, then it's still going to kind of bleed over, and there's still going to be some stuff in here because the middle box has set the rules for everything inside. So I want to say fit content, and then on the outer box, I want to also make sure that is fit content, because if that was just fixed, then it would be chopped off, for example. And I'm lingering on this part here with the fit and fill, because once you understand the fit and fill, that's really the game. That's probably 80% of the hill, is like if you understand that if you add some content into a into a box, or if there's two boxes next to each other, what are the rules of that? And the two boxes that have a master shell or the shell outer shell, what is setting those rules? That's going to really dictate everything that you're going to build inside of it. So I think that's a pretty straightforward. Everything else is about fonts and colors. I think that's pretty simple. I think that's pretty straightforward. If you've ever used Photoshop, if you've ever used any kind of design template tool, Canva, you understand how to change fonts, you understand how to change colors and sizes and letter spacing and all that, make, bold and italics, all that stuff you understand. So let's go back and let's start actually building our landing page. So again, we're going to do our two columns. So I'm going to build two boxes here, and I could just take this one box here and I'm going to duplicate it. So then I'm going to grab these two right here, and I'm going to hit Control Alt Enter, and that's going to put it into a stack. Or I can group these two, right click and say add to a stack. So they've added to a stack. And the nice part about it, when you group something and hit right click and add to stack, and then you go over to your layout, the layout is already good to go. It's already set up. So I've got it centered, I've got it vertical at the moment. If I were to do horizontal, it would be horizontal. So I want to do horizontal because I want these two columns to be side by side. I don't want them to be stacked on top of each other. So I've got these two columns. Now let's set the size of these two columns. And I'm going to change the color of one of them just so you understand what we're looking at. So one's going to be blue, one's going to be black. Now I'm going to say, okay, I want this width to be fill, which means fill up the space as much as you can inside that box. And you could go as far as you can until you hit another object. And then I'm going to tell the blue square here, I'm going to set it to fill as well. So I'm going to go over here to width, go down and change it to fill. And I'll show you what that did. So now I'm telling the blue square, go out as far as you can, fill up the space until you hit another object. So now what's happening is these two objects are kind of fighting each other because one has one fill saying fill up the entire space until you hit an object, and the other one is saying fill up the entire space until you hit an object. So they are equal. So you could also set it to relative and say this one's 50 and this one's 50%. The hard part about it is once you start to tweak things, or once you get into the mobile version, you have to take the 50 and make that into 100. Whereas if you just set it to fill and you go to mobile, it's already filled. It's going to fill the space that it's given. So once you stack this on top of each other, it's going to fill the space that it's given. So in this space, God, that's a terrible. So in this space, I'm saying one fill, that's an F, and then one fill. Now, you can do some kind of fun ratios here, and this is what I've done on some of those other landing pages, is inside this, I could also do 2F, and I could do 1F. So the ratio could be like, hey, okay, blue square, I want you to take up 2 spaces, or twice the amount of fill space until you hit another object, and then the other object is going to take up 1 fill. So you can have like a nice pushing against each other, and it'll always be that the blue square would have 2 or twice as much as the black square. So that way you're not doing like a 50-50, because sometimes in a hero image, for example, you want the hero image to be pretty big and the form to be kind of small. So we might do this kind of ratio. We're going to do a 2F and a 1F. All right, so our hero image is going to be on the left side here. And I'm going to go up and do, 2F. You just type 2F. And we're going to worry about the height in a little bit, but I'll set it down. I'm just going to drag it down just for fun. And this one is going to be 1F. Now, there's a gap right here in the middle. And if you hover over it, I don't know if you can see that, but if you hover over it, it is something called gap over here. And you can adjust this gap here and say the gap in between objects. So I could say 0, I want these two objects to be totally touching. So maybe that makes sense. So we might show why that would make sense in our case. But usually I do a kind of a nice number. I do like a 16 or a 32 or a 12. There's no reason why I do that. It's just kind of aesthetically pleasing. That's why I do it. So I usually do 16. So now we've got our left side. We've got our right side, and I'll say, yeah, this one's going to be our form right here, and this is going to be our hero image over here. So let's go ahead and grab our hero image. I'm going to grab my image over here, 1 second. Let's see, let's find a nice... I'm just going to use the thumbnail from this picture, or from this video that we're using. Let's see. I can do one with my face on it. Let's do just without my face. So that's it right there. I just dragged it. What I can do, so I'm going to hit F, and I'm going to create a frame. Hit F, create a frame, and I can go over here and to the bottom, down under colors, under fill, I click on fill, and I click on image, and then I can say choose image, and I can drag the image that I want into that space. So now it's going to process. What's really nice about Framer is it's really fast with images. It's really great with resolution, keeping everything down. You could say auto, you could say full res, but I just go auto and they're pretty good. We are going to do fit, not fill, and center distribution. What's nice too is you can say, I want this to be in the center, and you can also, I think there's a point. Do they not have? Oh, if I did fill, yeah, if I did fill, I could choose the focal point and say, you know, choose this point right here and focus on that, and then I hit apply, and that's kind of nice there. But I'm going to do fit. I'm not going to crop it. And now let's talk about working with some images. So the image is fitting to the frame, but you notice that there's this gap here. So that means that the box itself is bigger than the image. And I don't want that because I want it to be as tight and as snug as possible to the image itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I can see right now that it's set to absolute. So I'm going to go back to my frame here, this gray box here. This is going to be kind of our column 1. And what's nice, you can also start to name things. So I'm going to call this one left column. Column. There you go. And then I'll call the blue frame over there right column. I think naming things are super important. I do it when I'm video editing, and it helps when you're having a huge file or having some huge landing page, and you're like, I don't know where my shit is, so I gotta find it. So, but now I need to go to left column, and then I need to go over to layout and turn on layout, and now everything's kind of behaving a little bit. So then I'm going to click on the image, or I can click, so I can navigate with the layers itself over here, or I can just, if I'm in left column, I can just click on the, double click on that. And then what I learned recently, if you want to go to a higher level, you just hit escape, and that'll take you to a higher level. Because sometimes you'll click on like the text here, but you really wanted the box, so it's nice to have that ability. So again, back to the box being bigger than the image, because it is set to fix. We don't want it set to fix. We want everything set to, again, fill and fit. So we want to fill the width, and we want to fill the fit the content. But sometimes when you choose fill on one angle, or you say you can't choose fit on the other, because it's just not, it's trying to stretch itself out to one side, and then you're trying to also make it fit to the content, and just the ratio is not going to work. So in this case, we don't want the width to be fill. We want the height to be fill. So that means it could be up there. Well, we'll play with it a little bit to get it just right. And another thing you could do is, I have it set to fit, for example. I could set the image to fill. Hang on, let me follow you along. I could set it to fill. So now the image is filling up the entire frame, and we are set to fix over here. So I could take it over here, and I could drag it how I wanted. I could drag the exact ratio of image that I want, and that could be pretty good in your sense. If you have something, or if you want to do like a very specific banner, for example. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that I see this entire image, and then it's also in this kind of 16:9 ratio. So I want to go back over to fit and, sorry, the width, and I want to make it fit, and then I want to kind of drag it until I kind of like the ratio here, and then what I could do is just lock it off, for example. Now I'm going to change the left column just for the sake of this. I'm going to change it back to white, and then for the form here, I'm going to hit F key, and then I'm going to drag a form right here, and we're going to embed the email form over here. So let me go over to ConvertKit. I've got our email form right here. Hit publish. I'm going to go to JavaScript, hit copy, go back over to Framer. I'm going to go up to insert at the top, insert, and then I can just type embed if I wanted to, or I could type ConvertKit. But for this, since I did copy it, I'm going to do an embed. I could do their ConvertKit email, which is okay, but it's still like all kind of using the same technology. It's all just an embed. So I'm going to go up here, type embed, and grab embed, and drag it over here, and now I've just got this kind of big purple box. So I go over here, I paste my script in. Sometimes you have to choose the right one. There we go. So I've got this how I want it. I can stretch it, I can make it stack on top of each other. I want it to be as snug and small as possible, and then I'm going to drop it inside this box here. So now it's inside this box, and again, it's all kind of loose. There's no rules to it because this box out here is not a frame yet, or it's not a stack. So I'm going to hit layout, and that's going to turn it into a stack. And now we've got the form inside here, and I'm going to change this. Now we're going to style it a little bit. We'll style this, and I'm going to change it to white. I can just drag it to white. And I can take this corner right here, and we're going to do our Nicely Studio rounded corners. We do about 20. And the other part of the Nicely Studio is we add a border to it. And one thing you can do once you get into Framer is like you have all these brand colors. You can go in and add some custom colors that you always do. I'm going to do a shadow black. I'm going to add our shadow. Let's do like 5, and 0 blur. And then I'm going to make sure that the color is shadow black. And then I'm going to zoom out and take a look at that. And that looks pretty good. And I'll kind of undo everything and show you that process. So I add the border, I add my shadow, and then I change the color of the shadow, and I think that looks pretty nice. I kind of like that blue background almost too. But so now we have the embed here. And if I squeeze this embed down a little bit, it's going to just not like being squeezed like that. I'm going to try to see what the ConvertKit one looks like, because sometimes the technology can be a little different. So I could take the form ID over here. Let's see if I can grab the form ID. Oh, and then I need to grab my API key. Never mind. We won't do that right now for the sake of this video. We'll drag that off to the canvas, and I'll do it later at a different time. So if I ever want to take a look at what I'm working at, I can go up here to this play button, I hit play, and this is going to give me a sense of what the website looks like. I can take these little sidebars right here and drag it. I can drag to see what a wide desktop look would look like. So if I put this on full screen, you see this is the problem with filling an image or making the image fill, that it's going to just fill up the space and not hold any kind of certain ratio. And then if I took it to mobile, we haven't built mobile yet, so it looks terrible. So right now, just a quick, this is how you would do it. Okay, so we got that. I'm going to go over here to the blue side. I'm going to delete that as well. So now we're looking pretty good. And then I'll go to my desktop and make sure that it is, I can do pure white. I can do our baby blue. I can do our sand color. I kind of like the sand, but I also probably could just do, I call it baby powder. That's our other color we have as well. So I've got the two columns, and now what I want to do is make sure these two columns also height-wise are equal to each other. So on the left column, I want to make sure that our height is set to fit. And then on the right column, I also want to make sure that is set to fit content. Now you could do fill. I've done that as well. You could say, make sure the right column fill and is as tall as the left column, and same thing, make sure the left column is as tall as the right column. So I could take something, and if I were to duplicate this, it would fill to the top and not follow anything. If I want to do fit content, it would make sure that it fits to the top. And I also want to make sure that the outer shell is set to fit content. That's what you want. And then also your desktop, because sometimes when you'll change a setting, the outer shell will go back to fix. It won't be in fill anymore. It won't be in fit content, so it can just be kind of annoying. So you just got to double check that. And then you can just delete the whole thing, just like that. So I've got my form looking pretty good. Now let's hit the T key, and I want to just start typing just kind of a headline. Now this headline is way too big, but as we look at our layers over here, we've got in this stack here. So this is like our form stack. We've got our text here, and we've got our embed. This is our form. This is our email form. You can rename things. And now it's kind of bleeding off a little bit. We've got the headline is too big, so let's go ahead and fix this. So we're going to go down to size. Let's make this like 50 pixels, make it appropriate. And I don't want that to happen again, that if I were to add more content here, that the thing just kind of gets scooted off. So I want to go to my outer shell here, and I want to make sure that this is set to fit, Click on fit content, so it's going to fit everything. And we'll talk about padding in a little bit, but I wouldn't worry about it. Now the width of this is fixed as well. So remember, we've got layer-wise. For this purpose, we've got the outer shell, we've got the white box, the white little rounded box, we've got the form embed, or sorry, that means also inside that we've got the headline, and then we've got the form. So inside this white box are 4 elements, and inside this outer shell, this F1F right column is 1 element. So you follow me so far? So that's kind of like keeping a sense of like all the things that are contained inside of this. So this is set to fit, fixed. So I want to set this to fill so that it fills out the entire space. And I'll work on the padding here in a little bit, but just for now, that's what we'll make some adjustments. Some of it's like a little chopped off here. That's okay. We're gonna work on it. Now let's go and let's work on our headline. So headline could be, let's see, download free framer templates. Now this is the tricky part with text. This is what I was talking about, that text is, once you figure out text, everything else makes so much sense. So the text box itself is set to fit, and what I really want it to do is set to fill. So that's going to fill up the width of the container. So the width of the white box is as far as I want the text to go. If it was at fit, it would just do its own thing and fit to the content. If the content stretches out, it's going to fit to that stretched out content. So I want it to fill to the inside. So let's go here. Let's change some fonts. Let's go do our fig tree font. Do it extra bold. I could maybe change some of the letter spacing a little bit. And it's still a little bit big. So I want to set it. You could do maybe 40. You could also set styles. The same thing with the color palette. You can set your own styles. This is take 20 minutes to build a style palette. So that way, when you are building these templates really quickly, you can just say like, cool, boom, H1. I click on H1 and it's my H1 format. Or I hit on H2. And what's nice about these over here, these little style palettes here, is you can set breakpoints. So when you are in desktop mode, H2 should be 45. When you are in mobile mode, H2 should be 33. So it'll auto size. If you did not have a style attached to any of your words here, any of your text, then you would have to manually go to each frame, go to the mobile, go to desktop, go to tablet, and you would have to change the size of the font across the board and make sure everything's consistent. This will save you time. So right now, we're not going to do it, but if you hit X and it'll just go away. And what else can we add to this? So I want this to be center. So I had my center paragraph. And for now, we'll call it good. Now let's work on the box itself. I'm going to hit escape. And you could drag, there's these little blue bars right here. These little blue bars, you can grab it and drag it, and that's your padding. I'm going to zoom out for you. You drag this, this is your padding for the entire thing. You can just add a little bit of spacing inside the box itself. Now I'm going to go to the desktop and add probably, let's add like 40 pixels of padding here. So this come together. Now we've got our form here. We've got our call to action. What I also like to do is add a little bit of text below and say like, you know, delivered right to your inbox. And that text is way too big. So let's do medium, and then let's make it like 14 pixels. And it's too close together, so let's make it 0. And so now this is going to be right below. Now I talked about earlier that the 4 elements inside the white box, the headline, the embed itself, and then this little deliver right to your inbox, all of these play with each other. All of these are connected elements. And you can set on the outer layer, so with this white box, I can set the gap. We talked about gap in between these 2 elements. I can set the gap in between the internal elements of this box. So I'm going to hit here, and right now it's set to 0, but I could say stretch it out, make it big, make the gap entirely. I'm going to set the gap to 0 because this embed frame has a little bit of spacing up above, which I don't love, but it's what we got to do. I'm even going to like stretch it out a little bit, try to get maybe, see if I can get it as side by side. Maybe I guess you have to do on top of each other. And see, I don't want this scroll bar either. Yeah, see, that's not great. That scroll bar is not good. And I'm gonna find out what this invalid, what it's saying here. Maybe I just need to grab the HTML code. That might be just easier. Oh, maybe it's like the CAPTCHA. That's probably what it is. Okay, so now as you see, as I make this bigger, that some of this is getting cut off. So the white box, the outer shell is the right column. So I want to make sure that we have some padding baked into the right column. So I'm going to add probably 16 pixels over here of padding. I'll show you what that was over here. It's down in the layout section. If you go down to padding and add 16 padding, you could also say, hey, I want 36 on the top and 36 on the bottom, but everything left and right just can be 16, and it would look like that, for example. Now if I go to right column, I also want to make sure that this is up here. Again, it changed itself back to fixed. I want to make sure that it is fit content. So if I add more padding to this form, that it's going to respect that. If I add more padding inside the form, that the column is going to respect that. So this is, we're looking pretty good. So I kind of want to style the hero image here now, but right now, as a landing page, it's all right. Now we need to kind of work on the copy a little bit. We need to work on the headline. So maybe download free Framer template might not be great. It could be like, create high converting. You want to think of like the desire, a quick desire, create high converting landing pages for your startup. So the more copy I'm going to add means the bigger the form is going to be. So now this is the design process where you go, okay, that's a little bit too much. Is that too much copy, or can I make some adjustments? Now our right column is only a 1 and our left column is a 2. Maybe I make it a 1.5 and keep this a 1, and now the ratio works out a little bit better. One thing I wanted to add with text over here, they came out with this brand new feature called balance, which is really nice. And you go to the text section down here below, you hit plus, and you've got all this stuff. You got shadows, strokes, paragraph, decorations, for like, do you want it all caps, or you want like a strike through, and you hit balance right there, and this makes it just beautiful. So if you have any kind of long trailing stuff, or a word is kind of chopped off awkwardly, it would make it just, so I'll hit 2 columns. So it's always going to kind of be balanced like this. Now, if I were to turn no off, I say this is not balanced, and I turn balance off. Now you see how it kind of like, no matter how wide everything gets, it's always still going to be this kind of nice, it makes a nice little pyramid. It just feels nice, feels better. It's not going to be like chopped off, or you're not going to have a word, especially if it's like if you're doing left justified and you have this shit, like, you're like, can't this startup be up here? And then now you're compromising. You're like, okay, now I got to make the text smaller so I can get it on the same line. And if you just click the balance button, turn on balance, then yes, it's going to keep everything in balance. So I'm going to go back to 45, hit center, and let's go and make this right column. Let's go back to 1. And why don't we make the left column 1? This is kind of fun part. It's the nice design process. Okay, feeling good. Create high converting landing pages for your startup, delivered right to your inbox. Or I could say like Framer templates delivered right to your inbox. And subscribe could be one thing. I could go back over here to the form and say, instead of subscribe, it could be, free download. So how would I change that? So if I'm on ConvertKit here, I just type it. Okay. So get free download. I hit save. I'll go back to my Framer page, and it'll update in a little bit. Or maybe I have to recopy. ConvertKit's like, it's just all right. There we go. Okay. So, make everything a call to action. Don't just say subscribe, or don't say like join my newsletter. Make it enticing. Get free download. Oh, all I have to do is add my email. Cool, I'm there. All right, let's go back over to our image here. So we've got fill on the width. We've got fixed. I'm not crazy about this. So what I want to do is kind of make it, try to see how we can make this kind of look cool. Can make it look like a video. I can make it look like some kind of floating object. I'm going to set it back over here. I'm going to go back over here to, I'm going to make it fit. And just kind of shrink it down a little bit. Maybe something in there. And I also want to kind of round the corners the same way that we have, I think I added 20 over there, so I'll make this one 20. I could is just right click on this box and say I like the styling of this box, and I could copy the style and go to copy style, and I click on this box itself and hit paste style. It's going to make it white. It's going to like remove the image, but that would also be like how I make a duplicate of this box. So I don't want to do that. So I kind of like the box how it's rounded a little bit. I could also add, I'm going to hit F again, and I'm going to drag a little box here. Now we have messed something up. So now we've got basically 3 elements spread across each other. I want to take this frame and put it inside the left column. So now I went inside the left column there. I want to make the radius of this 180. We're going to make a shadow for this. I'm going to turn it blue. I'm going to go back to shadow black. And maybe we got to make it like 500. How do we make this? Can I make it? Or what I could do is make a graphic. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to delete it, hit the G key, and you go up here and you got your little graphic element. So I hit oval. I want to make an oval, and I'm going to drag out an oval. And again, now we got the same issue. We've got, I want that oval to be shadow black. And then I go back and then see I've got my graphic here. So this would be our oval shadow. I want to drag it and put it inside the left column. So now I've got kind of like a little floating, kind of fun, like it's a little shadow, like below it. Like this is like a little TV or something. I can go over here, I can click on this graphic, I can add some style to it. I could also put it inside a stack, so I'm going to right click on the oval, add a stack to it, make sure the stack is fit to the height, and then I'm going to go over here to style, and I'm going to hit mask. And now we're getting crazy. And I'm going to change the... I'm going to like feather it out over here. It's got the mask on it. And I'm going to lock the shadow because I don't want to accidentally touch the shadow. I want to just touch the stack itself. And I'm going to work on this feathered shadow effect. See if we make it look pretty cool. I think that's the fun part of Framer too. Like you have, if you were to want to do this, if you want to make a shadow in Squarespace, or if you want to make a shadow in Webflow, you're watching 30 tutorials. You're watching, like, you got to get custom code. There's just too much to learn about this. Okay, I like that. And then let's take the opacity. So I've got it masked here. What I could do, another trick I could do, is just keep the opacity at 100%. Go back to the stack. Remove the mask. And then I could just go up to Style, hit the plus sign, and go up to Filters, go to Blur, and I could just add a blur. Just add a blur. So I can make it super blurry. Right there. Now, it's getting chopped off because the frame itself is set to, overflow is set to hidden. So you want to go over here and set it to visible. And then I want to go to the left column and make sure that, see, now the left column is chopping it off too. I want to make sure that is not chopping off. Now, see, this would have looked like before. Now everything's not so much. Now I can take that gap, grab the little purple thing, and I can add a little. This is looking good. All right, so now I'll stretch this out, make this oval a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Maybe take the opacity down now that the shadow's a little bit larger. We're just making fun stuff now. All right, that looks pretty good. The overflow is set correctly. And why not? Let's add a floating loop effect to this. So I'll go over to Effects. I'll go over to Loop, which makes something loop over and over. And I want to set it to... Let's set the offset to be -10. I'm going to set the transition to ease in and out. And it's going to be about, let's do like 1.6 seconds. And then I'm going to hit the play button. All right, so now it's going in only one direction. So I got to make sure we fix that. So it's doing, oh my god, now I've made everything huge. It's like zoom on zoom. So set the off, looping. Oh, I want mirror, sorry. That's what I want. There you go. Not bad. I could also add like a little rotation. And a little... Oh, I kind of like that. Okay, maybe we'll tweak it a little bit. We'll do... It's always fun. Just add some kind of like fun element to it. So the effect is going to add 2 degrees, but we are also going to add a transform down here. I said I wasn't going to do transform. I don't care. This is my show. Okay, that's nice. I was kind of a little breathing, little floating. Here, get this thing. Now I could add some glow to this effect if I wanted to. I could add some style and say, oh, draggable. Oh, that's fun. What is draggable? Draggable, yes. Not draggable. They're always making new stuff on here. All right, so a glow is just a shadow that is right behind it. So make it like 25. And I can make it 100%. And now I've got a glow effect. Now we're adding too much. We're getting a little crazy. We're just doing some styling. I can make it like dark mode. Where... See, now we're getting too much. Too much. You can go overboard. Again, A simple landing page needs to be simple, straightforward, and the only thing that they can do or should do is buy or sign up. That's all they need to do. Make sure we are not cutting anything off. Make sure our overflow is set. And take a look at that. So what I would do is I would take this link and I would put it at the bottom of my footer, put it inside of my website. I could also put this inside my YouTube description here. And we've got a pretty solid landing page. I don't really need more copy on here. I could add more stuff like, hey, here's what you'll get. Or I could add let me zoom out for you guys. I could add something like a new section down here below. And this is what I was talking about. Like, if you need a little bit more information, or if you feel like you need a little bit more information, you could say, like, what's inside. But a lot of these times, it's like, it's free. If it's a free lead magnet, you don't really need to do a huge sales pitch. You don't really need to do, is this for me? What am I going to get? Or do we have a money back guarantee? Because it's just like, add your email and get this free thing. You could add a video to it explaining this. You just add some things. So what I could do is add, I do have, let me find play button. I could add like a play button image to it. Search my files. Just to make this something a little bit more interactive. So I just take the photo. There we go. Got a little play button icon here. So I'm going to take this play button over here, drag it into our main stack. So I'm going to delete this. So play button. So we're going to call this our hero section. And then I'm going to grab this play button and put it on top of the image. And then I'm going to stack these images together. And then I'm going to say this play button up here needs to be absolute. And it's going to freak out a little bit. And I could just add like a play button right in front of it to indicate that, hey, this is a video that you could watch. And then I could say to the play button, make it totally centered to everything, or like 0, 0, 0, 0 on all the positioning. Absolute is a tough thing to learn. I'm not going to go over that today. Go watch a video on that one, how to do absolute positioning. But let's see what it does. So now that I've got that animation, I need to probably take the animation from the image, right-click, copy it, delete it from the image itself, and apply it to the entire stack. So this like play button plus image, and then go back over to effects and hit paste. Now that I took it, copy pasted that effect, so now it all looks pretty good, but I don't know why it's like chopped off over here. And the effect is like, now that I'm looking at it, we probably don't need it. And now I'm like, okay, that's hidden. Why is that hidden? Because it's chopped off. It's pretty good. That looks... You want to click on it. And by clicking on it, maybe it makes you do something. Or maybe I could attach a, like, if you click on it, this will be a pop-up. Or it'll pop up the form and say, hey, if you really want this. Just something to add a little bit more to it. Okay, so we are about an hour into this. This was a landing page so far. And I feel pretty good about this. This is everything that you need to do. Now, if you were to make a thank you page, here's what I would do. I would take this. I would duplicate your main page. And then, you call it Framer TY or whatever. And instead, so now you don't need the form. You can delete the form. You can say success. Thanks. Check your inbox. You know, your templates are on the way. Should be 5 to 10 minutes. There you go. And that's it. So that they were to go. So let's publish this. We're going to publish both of these. And I want to make the framer dash ty. Save it. Publish it. Probably need to re-add the HTML code. Take that, add it, hit publish, and let's check it out. Let's see how this looks. So now we've only done desktop. We'll do mobile here in a second, but again, you have to get everything looking right. So I want to just see what desktop looks like when I go over to desktop. So when I'm on super wide mode, looks bad, which is good to know. But I want to see just like do the mechanics work. So Jordan at nicesitestudio.com. Get free. And then it takes me, boom, takes me to the thank you page. It looks like it's a new page, or it looks like it was just the same page. And now I'm here. So that kind of works. So I'm going to delete the thank you page just for now, or I'm not going to do anything because, again, I want to duplicate the perfect desktop version of it before I just like have to do double work. Now, what went crazy with that one is that the width was, it was just allowed to go as far as it wanted. It could go all the way out, wherever it wanted to go is where it was going to go. We don't want that. We want to go back to our layers up here, and let's first start with the left column. We'll start with the play button. I want everything to kind of follow a certain ratio. And I want to make sure that some things don't get too big. So with the max width, so you can lock the ratio so that if the image were ever to stretch up wide or stretch tall, that it would always still be that tight 16:9 ratio, which is what I want. So I'm going to hit lock right there. And max width, I'm going to say max width should always be 80, let's say 100%. Yeah, let's do 100%. And I want to make sure that all the positioning is set to 0. That's like kind of perfectly right in the middle of the frame. And then I'm going to go to my image and also make sure that my ratio is set. So the ratio should be set to fill and then whatever your height is. So if I were to stretch it out now, that it's always going to stay in that 16:9 ratio. It's not going to get squashed. Now we got to work on the form over there, but the form I'm less worried about. So again, let's make sure left column is, you could do fill height. Go over to right column, make sure that's fill height. And we could also add some padding here too. We can add, maybe 10. And again, we've got the shadow working here. And then between our hero sections, between our two elements, left and right column, we are still, we could do 0 almost. Let's do like 6. Now, it's distributed set to center, and the desktop is set to start. The desktop, since this is a landing page, I probably want to set it to center, meaning that no matter how tall the page is, all of the elements, everything inside hero section here is going to be centered. So if it was set to start, it would push everything to the top, so you would have this big bottom gap, and there'd be empty space. So I want it to set to center. So no matter how tall your image is, how wide your desktop is, that it's always going to be set in the center. So I hit play, and I'll show you what I mean. So it's like, I can make this as tall as I wanted, and it's still going to be set in the middle. And even if I get super wide, now this is what I'll also want to control for. If I have a wide desktop right here, this is like a 33-inch wide screen, so I don't want this image to be super stretched out, so I want to set some clamps on everything. So inside the hero section, inside this main box here, so remember, there's the outer shell, there's the desktop. You know, you got your tabs here. This is your website that you're looking at. I have my hero section frame. I want to clamp this hero section down. And I want to say this hero section needs to be at a max width, as the biggest it can go is 1200 pixels. Or sometimes I'll do 900 pixels or 1000 pixels, meaning no matter how big that this desktop gets, got your tabs over here, no matter how big that is, that your hero section is always going to be clamped down to that 1200. It's always going to be so big. So even you could go all the way, the width could be super far, but it's always going to stop at 1200 pixels. That's what I want. Which it just makes it look nice, and it makes it look like, because if you had a super wide screen, or so, it just like your image is far on the left and your frame is far, or your form is far on the right, it wouldn't make sense. So I want to go over here to size. I want to hit plus. I want to hit max width. And this is where I want to do an actual number. I don't want to say percentages or fill, so I'll say 1200 pixels. And you can kind of take a look at it. So I got it set to 1200 here. I can set it to, you know, now I've got it set to 850 or 800, or I can make it really small and just say, you know, 600, or, you know, I only want it to be 1000 wide, which doesn't look bad either. So I'm going to say 1200. I'll show you again what that looks like. So now, no matter how far, see, it almost like got a little wider, and it would like kind of want to go with you, but as it keeps going, it's always going to, it's got to stop. This is as big as you can grow. So you cannot grow with the entire screen. If someone's on a super mega screen, you're always going to be so big and so tall. That's what we want. All right, we are rocking. Make sure that's 1200. Okay, now let's work on the right column, making sure that we got our width set to fill. We've got a kind of custom padding over here. I could set probably, let me zoom in a little bit. I could probably close this down, or, you know, I could say, hey, I just want the top and bottom to be, I could say everything I want it to be 20 pixels of padding here, which doesn't look bad. And then the form stack itself, or sorry, what I was affecting was the outer part right here. So I think I just want 10. Let's do 10, and let's talk about the white box itself. That's what I want to go for. So now I can add some lead room here, make it look a little bit more, looks a little more sophisticated, I think. I could probably clamp down, make the width less. I mean, the width could be like 5 pixels wide. And that would be totally fine. This might give me the option to make it full width, which I kind of like. Let me go over here and fix this valid. This valid thing is killing me. Invisible CAPTCHA. Save. Publish. Is that what's doing the... Okay, yeah. Invisible CAPTCHA, whatever. So now I kind of like this. So now I can make it wider. Got a little bit, looks a little bit more sophisticated, and it kind of also makes the form itself a little bit more prominent. Now that the form is a little bigger, the box is a little bigger, I also want to add some styling back again. Now let's go back to our shadow here. Let's make our shadow like 10. Not bad. Not bad. Probably drop this. Make it 80 and 50. That's kind of a nice ratio. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, let's take a look at desktop, see how it looks. This is the design part. All right, now we kind of want to separate these two lovebirds. I'm getting a little too close to each other. I don't want y'all to be totally on top of each other. Okay. Looks good, feels good. Kind of want to add some like extra copy for framer what can I say? For framer lovers. I could say like free framer templates available. Okay. Now I also can stack these two text together, and then I can go back to my gap, and now I can work on the gap a little bit more, and I can stack these two together to make them touch each other a little bit more. And so now I've got these two elements stacked together, I've got these two elements stacked together, and so now I've made a stack within a stack. And so now if I want to change, so I'll write this out. So now I've got this, I've got the white box, I've got the eyebrow text, I've got the headline, I've got the, it's probably it's gonna get a little crazy. Let me draw it out over here. So what I have, and this is if you want to change the adjustment between text or headlines, or like you want these two headlines to touch, but you don't want everything to touch. You just want certain parts to be a little closer. So right now inside this white box we have our eyebrow headline, we've got our main headline, we've got our box form or embed form, and then we've got our little disclaimer. And what I did is I put these two elements inside a box, and I put these two elements inside of a box. So now we've got one big box, and inside that one big box we have two medium-sized boxes, and inside of each of those two medium-sized boxes we have two more elements. So if I were to change the gap of this white box up here, it would affect these two medium-sized boxes. It would not affect everything inside the boxes, but if I were to affect everything inside this box, or I click on this box and say, let's change the gap here, it's not going to change the gap of the white box, and it's not going to change the gap of the headline eyebrow either. That makes sense. So again, if I change the white box gap, it's only going to affect these two sister boxes, and inside those sister boxes are these two children, so to speak. Okay, looking good, feeling good. Now we're ready to move on to tablet mode. And what's nice about this, again, once you're done with everything, once you're done with desktop, tablet and mobile is kind of the last 5 minutes of everything. There's not really much else you need to do. So, I'm going to click on tablet, and what I want for tablet is I kind of like it still being side by side. I'm okay with it being side by side. So I'm going to go over here to make sure I have my tablet. And if you look over here in your layers now, we now have, I'll delete this old ConvertKit. We've got desktop and we've got tablet, and they mirror each other. And again, if you change anything in tablet mode, it is going to not get affected over in the desktop mode. Let me show you what I mean. So if I change the copy here of this, so if I say headline here, this is not going to get affected. This desktop will still be this, and now your tablet has a new headline. So that can be effective. Like if your headline is too long on mobile and you need to make a shorter version of it, that's effective. But just know, whatever you're doing over in tablet mode and mobile mode is going to stay over there, and your desktop is going to just pretend like nothing happened. And then you're going to go to your desktop, and you'll be like, why isn't it changing? Because if you want to make content changes, design changes, you need to go to desktop. Now we're in tablet, so I still want it to be kind of side by side. I want to lower this gap a little bit more. I want to bring this form in a little bit. And I want to probably make the headline a touch smaller. When you make something smaller, you got to space out the letters even more. And that looks pretty good. Probably add some more. Probably add a little bit more spacing. And with an embed too, you could also set it, now that it's in a box, I can set it over here to I can do width fill. And now the width of the embed will be as wide as that box. Now you probably could make this the right side like 20 and the left side 20. And I could probably make this headline a little bit smaller too, 28. And then when you make something smaller, space it out. That's pretty good. If I were to see that on tablet, it looks pretty good. Shadow's a little big, but that's okay. And then yeah, okay. Now we're done with tablet. Let's take a look at tablet, see how that looks. So when I stretch it out to, this is desktop mode, and then now we go to tablet mode, and then we're going to, now we need to make a mobile mode. So we're going to hit breakpoint and hit phone, and now we're in phone mode, and it's already kind of nice because it's already started to kind of stacked each other on top of themselves. Oh, let me go over to something messed up here. What did we? It's all the little tinkering. Now that you're in the mobile mode, it's all just like tinkering everything. And you're like, why? You're like, why did that look good before? And now it looks terrible. I don't know, and we won't know. All right, now we go over to, let's go to mobile. So we've got some bleed over here. So I need to go into my phone here, hero section, make sure that is set to fit, and then it is. So now our left column needs to be adjusted a little bit. So fit content, we had some like, now the height was set to fit and fill. Now everything needs to be kind of set to fit. So with this mobile with mobile, there's an argument you could say like you want to show the form first. I want to show the hero image first, so just to give people a sense of what they are looking at or what they're going to get, or just a little bit of some splash factor. Also want to take down the top padding a little bit, and then the gap between these two elements I want to take down. And then the padding overall needs to be like 10. And I could probably hide the shadow. It probably doesn't need a shadow. And I could probably just, fix it back to straight. So that's not, or I mean, maybe I could keep it tilted. That's kind of fun. And let's take a look at that. So now I'm on mobile. And okay, this could be a little bit adjusted. Let's take it to 10. And that's looking pretty good. Framer templates delivered right to your inbox. Let's go over here and make sure that this little disclaimer has balance to it. Same with the one at the top has balance. Let's go to the top and hit publish. See how we're looking. All right, that's our headline. Let's see if I squeeze this desktop in, squeeze it into the middle. So now, oh, we got to check one last thing on mobile. On mobile, it needs to be distribution start. Doesn't need to be centered. I want everything when it's on a mobile to like stick to the top of your phone screen. I don't want it to be set in the middle so you have to like scroll down a couple times. Excuse me. And that's about it, guys. That is our landing page, and pretty good, guys. All right, this is the training here. This was Framer, guys. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I will answer it. Of course, go to Framer, go to Framer University. There's a couple of great resources there. But this was a pretty bare bones, straightforward teaching of how to use Framer, how to create a highly effective landing page. And if you were to put this landing page out into the market, I think it would do pretty well. But you never know. You could always change what's nice about this is you ever want to change anything. If you find that your landing page isn't working, if you find that something is just not going the way you want it to go, you can change all this. You can change the copy here. You can change the image out. All of this stuff is what's really nice about Framer is you don't have to have your webmaster. You don't have to call your developer to go change anything. You can just jump in here and say, okay, well, let's change this copy. Let's change this color of this button. Let's change the background from this to that, and you're done. You're ready to go. It looks good. You hit publish, and again, you don't have to call your developer. You don't have to watch another tutorial because you've got everything built. You've got it all ready to go. Every element looks good. Looks good on mobile. Looks good on tablet. Looks good on desktop. So that when you do make those changes, that everything just stays in place. It all looks good. Guys, if you want to get some of these Framer templates, actually go over to, click the link down below and I'll show you this right here. So if you guys go over to the 500K SaaS launch kit and you want to grab your own, if you're thinking about launching your own product, if you were thinking about getting your product out there, you could do it in under 10 days. There is less than 4 hours of work here that I'm offering you. So it's the templates, you're going to get Framer templates, email templates, my launch calendar, launch command center. I walk through the 4 lessons, the 4 phases of the entire launch, your pre-launch, your launch, and your post-launch, and including also how to position your product, how to talk about your product to your customers so that it's not just you talking about features, but it's really talking about connecting with them, talking about their problem. But when you join the 500K SaaS launch kit, the link is down below in the description. You can get access to all this, your command center, Framer templates that you can build your waiting list Framer template page, you can build your sales letter page, and you can also build your video hype page, which just gets everyone ready to go so that you don't have to be a Framer expert. I built everything for you here in Framer, make it look good, make it all kind of sing together so that all you have to do is once you get access to these templates, you can just add the copy that you want, add the images that you want, add the YouTube video that you want, you hit publish, and you are ready to launch your product. It's that easy. So hit the link down below and grab this 500K SaaS launch kit. You're going to get the launch command center. You're going to get the keynote video script. So if you were thinking about writing your own keynote script or you're kind of nervous to be on camera, we have written a keynote video script for you. We also give you the launch calendar. The launch calendar is, there's a lot of moving parts and pieces in the 10-day launch. There's a lot of emails, there's a lot of landing pages, there's a lot of videos that you have to all have kind of lined up. I give you my exact calendar of say, okay, on day 1, I need you to post this, this, and this. On day 2, post this. On day 3, send this email. And it takes all the guesswork out. You don't have to, you could schedule everything ahead of time, which is nice. Next is the pre-launch video script. So there's 3 videos that go into your launch. There's the 2 pre-launch videos, and then there's your keynote video. All of these, the scripts can be all written, thanks to our video scripts here, can be written in under 30 minutes, and recording them can take 5 to 10 minutes, and editing them can take another 5 to 10 minutes. You don't have to have fancy, crazy, elaborate transitions and wipes and fire effects. You really just have to sit down and talk with your customers on camera and just show them who you are. You don't have to have an editing degree. You don't have to hire a video editor like me. And we give you these pre-launch video scripts along with the keynote video scripts so that you can sit down, know what you need to say, and put it on a teleprompter, put it on screen, put it in a slide deck, and you can just read off the slides and talk to your customers. Next, I'm going to give you the 10 high-converting email templates. So there are 10 emails that go into this, and you could really send like up to 16. I've done up to 20 emails in a 10-day launch period, which you might be like cringing at, thinking like, I would never send that many emails. But emails where you're making money. That's where you are going to drive 80 to 90% of your revenue is going to be from email. Yes, there's a social media aspect. Yes, you can do stuff on YouTube, but those people that are reading your emails, opening your emails are going to be the ones to 80% chance give you their money and become paying customers. So I have done this. I've written hundreds of emails before, sent hundreds of emails before. I've done over 200 product launches and seen what emails work. And I've compiled them into the 10 best, highest converting email templates that are going to get your customers excited, get them interested in what you have to say, get them to realize that you know what you're talking about and that you know, like, wow, you're in my head. You know the problem that I didn't even know I had, but now I have it. And then those last 4 to 5 emails of saying, hey, the cart is open, the checkout is ready to go. You can now buy this product. You can now sign up for this app. Here's how to do it. Click here, and that's where you're going to make your most of your money, and it's going to be from email. Next, we'll give you the ultimate launch checklist. Again, just making sure you're checking all the boxes. There's a lot of moving parts and pieces to this. You can manage all of it yourself, but it's nice to have a little checklist to say, okay, got video 1 done, video 2 done, emails 1 through 5 are done, and oh, I forgot to add with the email part. 10 emails sounds like a lot, and 10 emails sounds like I'm asking you to write 10,000 word paragraphs. You can write all 10 emails in less than 2 hours because I give you a ChatGPT prompt so that all you have to do is add your information about your product, and then the prompt already spits out everything that you need to write, and it sounds like it's in your voice, it sounds natural, and you copy that prompt, you do a little proofreading, and you put it into your email sequence. It's that simple. I will also give you my pro-level video gear guide, so I will show you how to do a setup like this. If you want your microphone, if you want headphones, if you want lighting in the background, if you want to have a home studio that looks great, then I'm going to give you all the gear that you need to buy. Keep it simple. I'm not going to give you the entire cinematography filmmaker school breakdown. I'm going to give you, hey, I've never used a camera before. I've never bought a microphone before. What do I need to buy, and how do I need to kind of keep it under budget? And then the very last part, what's nice is once you get in, once you become a student of the 500K SaaS Launch Kit, you are also going to get the chance to sit down with me, sit down with Dora, my co-founder, and you can talk with us for an hour to walk through your game plan, to walk through your launch strategy, to just really, because being a solo founder, working by yourself, working in your room, building your app, building your product, it helps sometimes just to talk to somebody about your product. It helps just to air out your ideas. It helps just to make sure that what you're doing isn't totally outlandish or totally it helps to just have somebody poke back at you and say, yeah, that idea that you just pitched, not that great. Or actually, you could take it like this and twist it a little bit and make it a little bit better. That's going to be so important. So you get that totally free. You can sit down with us. What I encourage my students to do when they join the 500K SaaS Launch Kit is download the kit and then immediately book. And don't delay. Don't wait till you're ready to launch. Don't wait. Okay, hey, I'm going to get the kit, and then we're going to launch in a couple weeks. I'll hit you up then. I would book that call immediately. Sit down with us so you can really walk through and avoid some of the traps, avoid some of the extra hard work that you shouldn't be doing, because there's a lot of this stuff that we provide here in the 500K SaaS Launch Kit that you don't have to do. You don't have to go through the pain of learning how to be great on video or learning how to write a great email. We give it all to you, and I can even point you in the right direction on, you know what, this launch, we have it for 10 days. Actually, you could probably do this launch for 12 days, or you could do this launch for 8 days. We'll give you that kind of custom strategy when you sit down with us. The last thing is you have lifetime access to this. Once you buy this, you have lifetime access to it. If you get a refund, if you like this, don't like this, you come back in 2 years, you're ready to launch again, you're on your 10th launch, you can always come back to this. You can always use this material and use it as your guide, use it as your resource, use it as your companion when you're in the trenches. It's launch day, you're 2 days out, it's ready to go, the cart closes in 5 days, the pressure's on, you are just stressed out, and it's always nice to kind of go back to this resource and say, okay, I've got everything lined up, everything's ready, everything's scheduled, I talked with Joran, I talked with Doran, they've helped me a little bit, and I'm ready to launch this thing. That's just kind of a nice thing to have in your back pocket. So all of this access, everything, all the kit from this knowledge, all the stuff that Dora and I have dumped into this from the 200 launches that we've been a part of, over $50 million of revenue have gone through these launches that we've pushed out. All of this stuff would be around $30,000. That's what we'd probably charge you. We'd say, hey, if you want to get all this, our emails, videos, scripts, sitting down with us one-on-one, if we were to invoice you, it would be about $30,000. And if you add that to every single bonus on top of that, it'd probably be somewhere like an extra $7,000 plus all the bonuses and everything else. But everything today, what you're going to get is just $49. That's all it is, not $37. Everything else that I just mentioned, the launch strategy, the strategy session, the gear guide, the 10 high converting emails, the pre-launch video scripts, the launch calendar, the keynote video script, the launch command center, and then the 4 phases of launch. We call it the slingshot sequence. All of that, you're going to get it for just $49, and you can get it today. You can click the link down below and sign up, become a member. And I will say this. You have our ludicrous, I wrote in here, our ludicrous guarantee. If from this, you don't get at least 100 new customers from your next launch by using and following what we provide in this kit. If you don't get at least 100 customers from your next launch, I'll refund every penny and let you keep the entire system. And you have 90 days to test this out as well. So don't worry, everything's backed up. You can, I sent an email out the other day that people asked like, hey, if I sign up for this, can I get a refund? How easy is it to do a refund? Guys, it's one button. So you email me, jordan@niceslicestudio.com, and say, hey, this wasn't for me. I didn't really feel this, or hey, this isn't exactly for my company. No problem. You get a refund. You don't like it. It's one button. You get a refund and the money goes back to your account. No problem. No questions asked. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You're not going to be putting me out on the street by saying, oh, I don't know if I should refund or ask for a refund. Jordan was really nice. It's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings. This is about you. If you are not happy with this, if you are not excited about this, if you look into this kit, use this kit, and you go, this ain't it, or actually, quite frankly, this is kind of dog shit, that's okay. You can get your money back. You're totally safe purchasing this stuff. So you can get it today. Click the link down below in the description. It is $49. You can become a student for life. We'll see you on the inside. Talk with me. Have a nice little strategy session. I'm excited to meet some of you guys that join the 500K SaaS launch kit. That's it, guys. That is the end of our show. Thank you guys for watching. Again, 90 days to test this out. Go work on Framer. Go download your Framer page. Test it out. And grab the 500K SaaS launch kit. And we'll see you out there, guys. My name is Jordan P. Anderson with Nice Size Studio. And I'll catch you next week.